Helen.
19 years in the dark, and the first thing she did when she felt safe was try to hug someone. She didn't know how to hug, so she just used her whole body. And the first time Helen walked up to us like that, it honestly caught us off guard because she didn't hesitate. She just leaned in, pressing her head against us, rubbing slowly, like she was trying to get as close as possible. And in that moment, you could feel it. That was her way of saying she finally felt safe. Helen is 19 years old, and she was born blind. And for her entire life, she lived on a dairy farm, not out in open fields like you'd imagine, but inside a stall, without other cows, without space, without ever really knowing what the world felt like beyond those walls. And even though the farmer cared about her in his own way and couldn't bring himself to send her to slaughter when she stopped producing milk, her world still stayed small for a very long time, until somehow she found her way to us. When Helen first arrived, she didn't move much. She just stood there, listening, taking in every little sound, every shift in the air, because for her, that was how she understood the world. And it wasn't fear in the usual sense, it was more like uncertainty, like she didn't quite know yet if this place was real or if it would disappear like everything else she had never had. So we slowed everything down. We spoke gently every time we came near her. We gave her a small space of her own, a place she could return to over and over until it started to feel familiar. And then we added small things, nothing big, just little details that would make her life easier. Like a water fountain so she could hear where to drink, wind chimes around the pasture so she could follow the sound back home, and a brush she could lean against whenever she needed comfort. And somehow, all those little things started to build something bigger: trust. And then one day, without warning,
Helen,
something shifted. My partner was out in the pasture doing chores like any normal day, and Helen slowly walked up to him, paused for just a second, and then leaned in completely, not carefully, not halfway, but fully, pressing her entire body against him, rubbing her head and neck like she couldn't get close enough. And that was the moment we realized she wasn't just adjusting anymore, she was choosing us. She was choosing connection. And from that point on, everything about her began to change. She started moving more, exploring more, deciding where she wanted to stand and who she wanted to be near. And what she wanted most, more than anything, was to be close. Helen is unbelievably gentle, the kind of gentle that you don't really expect until you experience it. She licks everyone, other cows, people, anyone within reach. And if you stand near her long enough, she will find you. Not in a demanding way, but in a quiet, steady way that feels real, like she's simply sharing what she has.
All right, give me my kiss.
And now, instead of standing still in a small space, she spends her days out in the pasture, grazing, resting, just existing in a way she never got to before. But what she seems to love the most isn't even the space, it's the sound. She loves standing under the wind chimes, just listening to them move with the wind, holding still like she's taking it all in. And when we play music, she notices that too, especially her favorite song, the Hawaiian version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And every time it plays, there's this quiet calm about her, like she's exactly where she's meant to be.
Helen.
And I think that's the part that stays with me the most, because after 19 years of living without freedom, without connection, without ever really being seen, she still chose to love, she still chose to trust, without hesitation, without holding anything back. And it makes you wonder how something that has every reason to close off can stay so open, so soft, so willing to connect.
Hi, Helen. Hi. How are you today?
And maybe that's what healing actually looks like. Not loud, not dramatic, but slow, quiet, built-in small moments of kindness that don't disappear. And if Helen's story made you feel something, I'd really want to know what part stayed with you. And if you want to keep following her journey, just stay a little longer, because there are more stories like this, the quiet kind, the real kind, the ones that remind you what love actually looks like.
All right, give me my kiss.
This 1,200-pound blind bison has become an awesome nanny for animals in need. Sometimes people ask us which animal has changed this sanctuary the most, and they're usually surprised when we say it was Helen. If you had met her on the day she arrived, you probably never would have believed she'd become the one every new rescue looks for. Hey, sweetheart. You're okay now. Helen was rescued from an auction when she was just a baby, and for nearly 13 years she lived with one person who loved her very much. They were more than an owner and a bison. They were family. Then one day, everything changed. Her person became too sick to care for her anymore, and Helen suddenly needed a new place to call home. That's how she came to Lighthouse Sanctuary. When Helen first arrived, she kept almost entirely to herself. She wasn't mean, and she wasn't aggressive. She simply didn't know how to be around other animals. She had never really lived with goats, horses, cows, or anyone else before. Most days she'd quietly stand out in the pasture, watching everyone from a distance while the rest of the animals went about their day. We'd smile and say, "Come on, Helen, they're good friends." She'd look over for a moment, then slowly turn away again. It wasn't that she didn't want company. You could almost feel how lonely she was. It just seemed like she'd forgotten how to let anyone in, so we didn't rush her. We figured she had already been through enough. She didn't need pressure. She just needed time. For a while, not much changed. Then something happened that none of us could have planned. We rescued a pregnant cow, who later gave birth to a beautiful little calf named Oliver. The first day Oliver was old enough to wander around the pasture on his own, he didn't run toward the other calves. Instead, he walked straight across the field until he reached Helen. We all stopped and watched. Oliver stood beside her without a bit of fear, as if he already knew she was exactly where he was supposed to be. Helen lowered her head and gently sniffed him. Everything became quiet. Then she started grooming him. We had never seen her do that with another animal before. It was such a gentle, caring thing to witness, and in that moment, it felt like something inside Helen had finally opened again. From that day on, she was different. She seemed lighter somehow. She walked around the pasture more, started spending time near the other rescues, and there was a calmness about her that hadn't been there before. More than anything, she looked happy. It was almost as if Oliver had reminded her that she still had so much love left to give. Before long, every time a new rescue arrived at the sanctuary, we'd notice the same thing happening. The frightened ones, the shy ones, the animals who weren't quite sure if they could trust anyone yet, somehow always found Helen. They'd stand beside her, follow her around, and before long they settled into their new lives much more easily. Sometimes we'd laugh and say, "Well, I looks like Helen adopted another baby." One of those babies was Italo, a little calf rescued from the dairy industry who never had the chance to grow up with his own mother. The bond between them formed almost immediately. He follows Helen everywhere she goes. When she stops, he stops. When she lies down, he curls up nearby. Watching them together, you'd never guess they weren't family from the very beginning. Helen simply became the mother he needed. Nobody taught her how to do it. Nobody expected her to. She just chose love. These days, everyone at the sanctuary loves Helen, but somehow she never asks for attention. She doesn't have to. You can feel her quiet presence wherever she is. Sometimes we'll look out across the pasture and see a little group gathered around her. A calf, a goat, another rescue who's still learning that this place is safe, and right there in the middle is Helen, the bison who once stood completely alone. We'll smile and tell her, "You're doing a good job, sweetheart. I think they all know they're home because of you." Helen reminds us that healing doesn't always happen through big moments. Sometimes it begins with one quiet friendship, one gentle hello, and one small act of trust. If her story touched your heart today, we'd love to hear about an animal that changed your life. Feel free to share your story in the comments, because those are some of our favorite things to read. And if you believe every rescue deserves the chance to find a place where they finally feel safe, we hope you'll stay with us for more stories like Helen's. There are still so many beautiful souls waiting for someone to believe in them.